And thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Proffitt. WHAS11 drone video from this afternoon is showing the large operation set up by the FBI on this land, searching for evidence about what happened to the young mother. All afternoon, investigators have been searching this property right here. This is in Coxs Creek, Kentucky. You see as the drone hovers over the house there, and you see the FBI's blue tents set up, some of their investigation underway. They got a tip related to the Crystal Rogers investigation and then swooped in. The property is located just south of Mount Washington near the Nelson and Bullitt County line. Nelson County real estate records show that this property has ties to the Houck family. And this is at least the second day of the search. Of course, as you know by now, Brooks Houck is called the chief suspect in her disappearance. WHAS11's Shay McAllister has been in Nelson County since learning about the FBI search. And Shay, I know you've been away from it a little bit, but as you pointed out, this may be one of those searches where we don't learn what kind of evidence they find until this trial begins later.
Absolutely, Doug. That's always a big question. What are they finding when they're searching? What are the pieces of evidence that they're collecting? Oftentimes, we don't have those answers. What's different today, just in the last hour, Nelson County Sheriff Raymond Pennaroa told us clearly they are searching for Crystal Rogers' body, and they haven't found it yet. Back on the search for clues in the Crystal Rogers case, dozens of FBI investigators hounding a property in Nelson County, the sheriff's office working with them.
We're here with the FBI conducting an investigation in connection with the Crystal Rogers case. They've been here since yesterday, and we'll be here through tomorrow. From the Sky 11 drone, you can see investigators focused on two properties on rural Whitesides Road in Nelson County. If the road name sounds familiar, that's because it is. Anna Whitesides is the grandma to Brooks and Nick Houck. She owned this land in 2017, according to property records. Whitesides, who has since died, has been named in this case before. Police telling us in 2016, her car may have been used to dispose of a body. Back then, she invoked her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and refused to testify in front of a grand jury. FBI says it was tips that led them to the property this week in what is a multi-day search. No more questions on what they're looking for. Sheriff Raymond Pennaroa putting it simply. This is still an ongoing. We have not found a body, and it's what we're here to do. On scene, the FBI evidence truck is serving as a home base as investigators come and go from the house, working around it as well, digging in multiple spots on this land using heavy machinery. A different family unrelated to the Houcks owns the property now, but it's not the first time this land has been searched. The Ballard family says they searched this land with cadaver dogs years ago, with reason to believe a missing part of the case may be traced back here. And Doug, we do know the Ballard family has been on property or near property today, seeing what they could see. Also today, I've been noticing butterflies everywhere. Currently a reminder of Sherry Ballard, who always says when she sees a butterfly, she believes Crystal is near. Doug?
Thank you very much. And again, as Shay has just reported, the sheriff confirming there, they are looking for her body on that property. That's because Crystal's remains have never been found, even as this case is slowly winding its way to a trial with 3 men currently sitting in jail. That's Brooks Houck, Joseph Lawson, and Steve Lawson. So let's take a look back at the last search that we saw in this case. It was another Coxs Creek property that investigators searched in 2023. WHAS11 News was there at the time. State police documents from Kentucky State Police say during an interrogation with Steve Lawson back in November of 2023, he told detectives that he saw his son Joseph Lawson and another man, Jeremy Thompson, digging at a location on Thompson Hill Road. It's unknown if any evidence was recovered at that time. As again, for those 3 suspects, here they are on your screen, left to right, Brooks Houck, Stephen Lawson, and Joseph Lawson. The next court date has been set for October the 4th. It is on that day that we could be finding out if we will see 3 separate trials or 1 trial with all 3 defendants together. And again, so far, a trial location has not been picked by the judge. Coming up in our next half hour, you'll want to stay with us. It's been 9 years since Crystal Rogers disappeared. Louisville attorney Nick Mudd, who's following this case closely, is going to join me here in our studio to talk about the police investigation and the new headlines coming out of this search today that they are definitely looking for her body on that property. Now to the other developing story we're following closely out of the state of Georgia. There's been a mass shooting at this Georgia high school you see on your screen. And ABC News moments ago now reporting that 2 students and 2 teachers are dead in the shooting. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation confirms that 4 people were killed. 9 others are in the hospital after a gunman opened fire at this high school in Barrow County. That's outside, about an hour outside the city of Atlanta. The suspect is in custody, a 14-year-old student, and police confirm again he attended that school. Authorities began their investigation into how and why this happened earlier today. The school superintendent announcing the district will close schools for the rest of the week. Rena Roy is bringing us up to date in Georgia.
They're telling us to run.
Cell phone video shows the chaotic moments after police say a gunman opened fire at Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia, an hour north of Atlanta.
We were in class and I heard the shots. I heard it was like 5 or 6 shots.
The teachers came in and they were like, everybody get on the floor, cover yourselves. Like we were all like hugging each other.
Family members showing up to the school in a panic, trying to get in touch with students.
I said, son, please tell me you're joking. He said, no, Mom, I'm not joking. He said, they're shooting in the school and the shooter is right across the hall from me.
First responders racing to the scene this morning.
We went to the hallway that it happened in, and that's when I saw like my math teacher. And he was all covered. I saw blood everywhere.
You can see students gathered on the football field moments after gunfire rang out, some reuniting with their loved ones, others appearing to circle together in prayer.
I was scared. I had so much fear. Like I'm still shaking.
I might not get to see my family again. I mean, my brother again. I was scared that he might not make it out.
One student telling ABC he heard multiple gunshots and screams coming from a classroom next door. His teacher locking the door, students huddling together in the back of the room, someone pounding on the door saying open up. Then he heard more shots and screaming.
This is going to take multiple days for us to get answers as to what happened and why this happened.
Attorney General Merrick Garland addressing the shooting today.
I'm devastated for the families who have been affected by this terrible tragedy. The Justice Department stands ready to provide any resources or support.
President Biden has been briefed on this tragedy by his Homeland Security advisor. He released a statement calling for new gun laws, including a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, adding, quote, "We cannot continue to accept this as normal." Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Late this afternoon, Governor Andy Beshear also posted on social media about the shooting. He's saying, in quote, there you see it at the top of your screen, the news out of Georgia is devastating as another senseless act of violence has taken more lives and will leave others with lifelong trauma. The governor goes on to say, my heart breaks for those students and we pray for all of those affected. We must do better. From the holiday weekend, scenes just like this playing out several times across different parts of Louisville. This street takeover happening at Iroquois Park right outside the entrance there at New Cut Road. That was on Saturday night. Now police are stepping up their warnings today, really ramping them up and threatening 6-month vehicle impounds for the cars involved. Ian Hardwick is joining us now after revisiting one takeover spot in the Portland and Russell neighborhoods. And Ian, you also covered that news conference today where the chief really weighed in on this. Let's start with that commotion at 26 and Market Street. What did you hear from neighbors there?
Doug, neighbors tell me the squealing sounds got people out of bed. One man saw a driver do a burnout in front of an LMPD squad car as other drivers made their getaway. Now, police are actively looking for one man who jumped onto that cruiser. Take a look. You can see him on your screen now. The department wants your help finding him. In pictures LMPD shared, you can see him up on the hood of that squad car. And while it's hard to tell how many people were at the takeover from these still shots, a bystander told us about 100 people gathered to watch the street stunts. Those bystanders could be arrested even if they don't participate under an ordinance Metro Council passed 2 years ago. That same ordinance also lets police impound vehicles for up to 6 months and with a $1,000 fine.
But we hadn't seen this scale that happened this past weekend in a while. Absolutely, the ordinance had an icing effect on it. When somebody gets their car taken for 6 months, that has an icing effect on it. And the word travels that we're not going to tolerate that.
So far, the department has impounded 65 cars under the ordinance over the course of 2 years. Now, no arrests have been made in the Russell and Portland neighborhood takeover, but LMPD did arrest 3 people for similar street stunts at Cox's Park in East Louisville and took 2 cars. Metro Council members in Louisville South End near Iroquois Park have set aside funds for license plate reader cameras, which they say will make the area safer. I'm live in studio, Ian Hardwick, WHAS 11, on your side.
All right, Ian, thank you very much. Well, let's talk about taking a nice, quiet drive around Kentucky. And if you'd like to, this is the perfect weather for you. And our chief meteorologist, Ben Pine, joining me here at 5 o'clock. Ben, bit of a warm up today, but you are still sticking with that. Temperature is going to get this, folks, down into the upper 40s.
Yeah, that'll be this weekend, Doug. We're going to talk a lot more about that big cool down on the way. First, some dry heat that we have around the area. It is very warm out there, 89. Our high last hour at 90 degrees. Now, if you want to drive out to the park and get out of the car and walk around, it's going to be nice this evening with that humidity staying pretty low across the area. It won't take too long to cool things off. As we head towards sunset, temperatures will start to drop into the 70s. Currently, though, we sit at 89 in PRP and Valley Station, 88 in Sellersburg, and 89 in Shepherdsville. We've had more cloud cover to the south today, so that's where it's cooler. 83 in Campbellsville. Just 81 in Munfordville and Litchfield. And there you see some more of those clouds drifting down towards southern Kentucky and into Tennessee, attached to some showers here towards Memphis and Arkansas. That'll all stay south of our area. So dry this evening. Again, 70s for much of this evening after sunset. Overnight low temperatures will fall down to the 60s. A nice, comfortable start to our Thursday, but temperatures will rise pretty rapidly in that dry air and sunshine tomorrow to the upper 80s and lower 90s tomorrow afternoon. Nice night out at the ballpark at Slugger Field. Temps in the 80s for the first pitch at 6:35. As the Bats take on the Jumbo Shrimp. Forecast for tonight, 68, that low temperature, 84, very warm at noon tomorrow, and that forecast high at 91, about 5 above normal. Now, a big game changer is going to be Friday as a fall front moves in, a chance for some rain that we need, and then that big weekend cool down coming up in our Weather Impact Team forecast.
All right, Ben, thank you very much. You know, Ben has to drive across the bridges. We all love our bridges in Kentuckiana, but boy, we sure do rant about them. And in a few minutes, you're going to hear about this one big time. That's because the Sherman Mitton Bridge Renewal Team today said it expects all of the work on this bridge to finally wrap up in mid-November. It is September 4th today. It's not far away. The renewal team is in the last major part of the project. It's called the hanger cable replacement. They tell us 116 of the bridge's 136 cables have been replaced. After all the cables are replaced, there will be just a few smaller projects to wrap up on the bridge, which of course connects New Albany to Louisville and is toll-free. The renewal team says there will be no more long-term closures on the bridge. Can you believe that? But there will be one more short one taking place on September 13th. That, of course, is Friday the 13th. No kidding there, folks. Well, under other news here today at 5, Louisville Metro Animal Services says somebody broke the law when they dumped at least 5 puppies right in their parking lot. LMAS says this is something they see quite frequently, though. This time the shelter was able to find the 5 dogs and bring them inside safely. But LMAS says much worse outcomes are usually possible.
More than likely, it was their puppies. They didn't want to deal with having to, hold on to them. So they thought it was probably best to bring them here and just leave them.
LMAS says if you do bring any animals in, make sure you bring an ID with you. The shelter says many times they have to turn people away because they didn't bring an ID.